Hey everyone, it's NBZ here, and today I'm bringing you a review of the game Abzu that just came out recently. Now, maybe you shouldn't call it a review because it's not the traditional format of I'm gonna put a score on it and I'm gonna read a script, because I find that takes up a lot of time, and I think I can get my thoughts out perhaps more concisely and concretely in this sort of more conversational format. Maybe let's call it a casual review, an informal discussion. And I think it's maybe could be thought of as a one-man podcast, perhaps. A mini podcast, if you will. So this game is very cool, and I want to tell you about it, because I think there are some very neat things going on. First of all, its history, perhaps quickly diving into that, pun totally not intended. The game was first revealed a couple of years ago at the Sony E3 2014 press conference, and it really turned my head because some of the people, the lead creatives on this new team, new studio is called Giant Squid, they were formerly part of that game company, the studio who made Flower and Flow and Journey, games which are really cool and which many people love. Journey is the only one I've played, and just looking at Abzu, it really strikes me as, hey, this is Journey underwater. Maybe that's a little reductive, but when you get a first impression, it really does give you that sense. So what is the game? Well, you play as this diver who is swimming underwater. There's really no narrative or explicit story to be told of. It's much more a environmental, aesthetic exploration of the underwater, the fish that live inside it, and maybe figuring out some sort of mystery, although again, it's very much cryptically told. You'll come across places which will have some architecture, you'll find kind of runes and scriptures in the walls which may allude to some kind of civilization that once existed down under here, and you essentially go, not necessarily in a straight line, but down a linear path to find your way through the depths and explore and see what you can discover. I know there are a lot of people out there who don't really like these kind of meditative experiences, as they don't necessarily have that much gameplay to speak of. You know, you're doing very light interactivity. Essentially, your only movement is using the analog stick, and you use one button to interact with most things. There is light puzzle solving, and you can find secrets hidden in the environment, but it's definitely not a Mega Man or a Castlevania or any kind of action style game. It is very peaceful and much more about absorbing the art and the world around you than necessarily, taking skill and trying to beat something. Though the gameplay is quite light, I do think that the mechanics are rather strong. Your ability to swim through the water is very fluid and feels good. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but once you understand the controls, I feel like it's some of the best underwater swimming that I've felt in a game before. Usually it's very ham-fisted and hard and awkward, and I still stand by the point that I've never played a game that made swimming underwater feel as good as walking on land or jumping or running in a platformer, but I think Abzu comes as close as you can to really nailing it down. I think the good thing about it is the game is by its nature slow-paced, which means you're never really put in a situation where you have to quickly adjust and react. You always feel fully in control, and that's testament to how good the swimming mechanics are. Something else that really strikes me is how reactive the entire world is to your presence. You swim past fish and they start to swim alongside you. You jump out the water and do a dolphin dive and fish will come and do the exact same. You can attach yourself to some of the larger creatures in the ocean and ride on them as they move faster through the sea. Even passing by plant life causes them to shrink and shy away from you as some sort of reactive measure. It's just a level of detail and polish that I can really respect and that not many developers strive for. Now obviously, while I've been talking, you've been watching footage of the game, so you don't need me to tell you how beautiful it looks. It's absolutely stunning art design that really pops, has a great variety of color as you move through the world, and uses it in a way that really inspires you and makes you want to continue your journey forward just to see what everything looks like. It's a great feeling that it inspired in me and pushed me through that I basically played this game in a single sitting. I did have a little bit of a break in between, but it was just compelling enough to really propel me through. That, in combination with the incredible soundtrack, just made for this synthesis of music and art that brought me to a place of wonder and excitement and joy, and evoked a lot of feelings that Journey did. Clearly, I really enjoyed my time playing Abzu. I do think it's missing something slightly intangible that Journey had. Maybe that's tied to the whole multiplayer experience of the desert landscape and having a companion to explore it with. I think if Abzu had a similar mechanic, that it may have struck me in a greater way. But that said, I think that there are some absolutely incredible moments, some real wondrous things to see, and if you like this style of game, it's very much recommendable. I think that it's worth the asking price at launch. It is so polished and crafted. You know, you often think about games as, you know, visions sometimes. There are some games that you can really tell there's auteurship behind. I think Abzu has quite a bit of that. It really feels like this singular thing that someone imagined in their mind and then was set forth. And I think that it should be experienced by a lot of people. Before I close, I should mention, I did have some frame rate issues, especially in later parts of the game when things get a little bit hectic. My PC should really be able to run it fine. It may be some optimization there, so if you are playing on PC, be aware that there may be some frame rate things going on. But I think for the most part, they don't impede the experience and has made it one of my favorite experiences this year so far. So thanks for listening to me talk about Abzu. I'll maybe do this again in the future with another video game. Until then, leave a like if you enjoyed, and thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.